All right, I want to spend some time about talking about running backs today. And if we have some time later, we'll maybe go back to some ADP talk. But I want to talk running backs. And Harrison, I want you to share just your top 10 running backs and kind of where you have them ranked. And people can access your rankings actually on our website, fantasyfootballfellowship.com. And then I'll just want to kind of disagree with some of these. And then also just kind of, I'll share my perspective on kind of the running back position this season. But why don't you just run through those top 10 real quick for us?
Yeah. So number one, no surprise, we got Christian McCaffrey. He's the best fantasy player probably in the NFL, in one of the best offenses in the NFL in San Francisco. Number two, guy who I love this year, Nick Chubb. Number three, Austin Eckler. Four, I have Bijan Robinson, which I know you'll probably disagree with, but I think he's going to be fantastic. Five is Tony Pollard. Six is Joe Mixon. Seven, Najee Harris. And then this next group I don't love, but I don't really know where to put them. And that is 8, Josh Jacobs, 9, Derrick Henry, and 10, Saquon Barkley. And then some guys who I have just right outside the top 10, Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, who I don't, depending on how well they are in camp, I think they could possibly move up into that top 10 before the season starts.
Okay. So this year with the running back position, I'm not confident in the top guys. I have traditionally been a running back guy. I like to load up on running backs early in the draft, guys that I can count on, workhorse backs. That's not the case. And we talked a little bit about that last year. And so I want to take a lot of guys, and I want to take guys. And unfortunately, a lot of people are probably going to be doing this year, but you're taking guys in that, 5th to 9th round. You're loading up on running backs, guys that could get more opportunity and that kind of thing. So when I look at the top 10, my strategy is I'm crossing names off. I'm crossing them off. Who am I avoiding this year? And it begins with the older running backs. They're too unreliable. I don't know if they have one more year in them, because running backs go over that cliff and they start getting older, and they, especially coming off years where they have had maybe a lot of carries. And so I'm not drafting Derrick Henry. He's off my list. Joe Mixon, I told you last week, he's off my list. I'm not taking him. I know he slipped a little bit, but no, thank you. Josh Jacobs holding out. I'm out on him. So I'm crossing all these guys off. The question marks surrounding Jonathan Taylor. I liked him having a bounce back year, but at the moment, I can't feel good about it. So I'm crossing him off my list. Najee Harris, I keep going back and forth on. I like the Steelers a lot. I'm probably leaning more toward the passing attack that I want to have a lot of shares of, with Pickens and even Deontay Johnson at good value, and then Freiermuth. And so, yes, McCaffrey number one, I'm good with that. I think he'll, as long as he stays healthy, he'll be awesome. And I'm with you on Chubb. But Eckler's getting older. He makes me nervous. Some of the contract dispute, he makes me nervous. And then I said last week, I'm not taking a rookie running back in the first round. I can't build my team around a rookie running back or a rookie of any sort in the first round. I'm not willing to do that. I'm a little safer of a fantasy manager than that. So with that said, anything you disagree with, or kind of take us into your mind with how you're attacking the running back position this year?
No, I completely agree with you. Like in years past, I would just go, running back in the first round, unless you were getting absolute value at receiver, like you were getting the number one receiver with the, 10th pick in the first round. But, running back first round, probably running back second round as well. But looking at my top 10 backs, right, there's not guys who I trust being, a staple on my team as that number one or two guys. McCaffrey, Chubb, Eckler, I feel good about taking them in the first round. But after that, even though I have Josh Jacobs ranked at, running back 8, I probably will not have him on a single team just because of how high he's going. And I think there's a lot more value later who can provide, similar production to what he's going to give you. I don't trust him as a first round pick. Maybe late in the second, I would consider. I don't think I would consider Henry in the second either. But yeah, I really have no strategy this year. Just how the board falls with running backs. If, we see 7 wide receivers go in the first round, then I'm happy taking a running back with that value. But if people are running back heavy, I'm not going to force myself to take a guy I don't believe in. I think there is great value in the middle rounds this year, which I know in the past we've talked about the running back dead zone. But I don't think that exists anymore because guys who would normally be gone by the third round are now lasting into that fifth
Yes.
round.
Good
You can
point.
get, Cam Akers, Alexander Madison, Isaiah Pacheco, David Montgomery, Rashad White, all guys who have great opportunities who are going in the fifth round. I'd be comfortable with, grabbing two of those guys to be my RBs 2 and 3 and hope that, one of them pops and can be in my lineup every week along with my solid foundation of receivers. So I think there's not really a bad strategy for running backs this year. If there's value, take them. If there's not, just wait. I would not force yourself to say, I'm going double running back. I'm getting, at least 2 in the first 4 rounds, because that's just really not how every draft is going to play out.
My suggestion is always to load up on running backs, meaning when I look at my roster all season long, I want to have more running backs available on my bench. So because you're rotating those guys through, they get hot for 4 weeks, then they get injured. Then somebody else pops in. And so you want a combination of different guys, even having a couple, nice backups on your bench. It's like, well, they're not going to produce right now, but in 6 weeks, they can. And you with running backs, the committees and the injuries, and it's just, you got to have a nice portfolio of running backs. So a couple of the names that I like this year that you've probably heard me talk about over the last few weeks, but you said it. I like Cam Akers. I want Cam Akers. I want Javonte Williams at the right price. I like Alexander Madison. He got a little banged up, but I like him. I think Rashad White is going to get great opportunity in Tampa Bay. He might be a 3 down back. So I like that. I like DeAndre Swift as the 3rd down back in Philadelphia. Even though I told you I'm hesitant about Philly, I like that in that offense with Swift being that kind of new addition. Hey, let's dump it off to him on 3rd down. I think some people maybe have soured on Swift over the years. So I like that. I like Antonio Gibson as that 3rd down running back. So in PPR, these are some of the guys that just give you a nice floor because they're going to catch 4 balls a game, get you 50 yards on the ground. There's 9 points, whether they get a carry or not. And so then you build on it, throw in a touchdown. Now, all of a sudden, some of those 3rd down guys that you got later in the draft can produce consistent numbers for you and then get a nice pop every once in a while. And you didn't have to pay that big, heavy price. A.J. Dillon, another guy. So those are a few. I like Damian Harris. I've liked him over the years. So, it's weird for me not to say, hey, go get Austin Eckler, but I'm hesitant about him this year. He's been a guy I've really loved over the years, but he's getting older, and you got to, take him top 3, probably top 5 anyway, in your draft. So running back, so it's always been my favorite position in fantasy, but now things are kind of changing, and I've got to adapt here in my 20th year of fantasy. So we got to adapt with the NFL.